So it's about 12:30 in the afternoon. Been up in the tree since daylight. Really cold this morning. It was like 25, 26. I actually didn't stay at the cabin last night. I stayed at the house. That was kind of weird. And when I left this morning, I had to bust the ice on the chicken's water, something we don't have to do a whole lot in South Georgia, but it reminded me of my childhood, and it also reminded me why the hell I moved so far south, because I just don't want to bust chicken water in the morning. I just don't want to do it. I'm at the very upper end of our pond. I don't hunt up here much. First time I've hunted up here all year. The youngest boys hunted in this tree a couple times. I think the only reason I don't hunt up here much is because the beavers are really, I'm no beaver expert, but I've been aggravated by them for at least half my life. And they're slick. They're smart. They know what they're doing. Really admirable creatures. I think a lot of things in life, even if they aggravate the piss out of you, you got to respect them. And I do respect them. I just don't like them. But when we put a lot of pressure on them down here at the pipe to keep the pipe with the water flowing, they've got contingency plans up here on the upper end of the pond. So they'll have like a little micro pond, another little micro pond, another little micro pond, and then it goes into the big pond. And each one of them have a dam. And so that way they're always trying to control that water. And so when we put a lot of pressure down here, they're like, okay, we're just going to focus up here and make sure all these dams are secure. And this pond is spring fed, multiple points of spring, fedness would be the word. And so I think part of the reason I don't hunt up here is because, early in the morning, they're still going to be down there jacking around, doing junk. I don't want to be around them. So what's the point of the video? It's avoidance. It really is. I think a lot of times, we avoid things. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I've worked with a lot of first responders who will talk about, hey, I just don't drive down that street because that street is difficult for me. I remember a call or whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, you know it. You get it. And I'm pretty confident if you had to go down it, you would go down it. But you choose not to. So to me, it's kind of like dodging a bullet. Why would you not dodge a bullet if you could? A good friend of mine, Brian, who I think is the biggest fan of the videos. I'm not sure why, but he is. He's fixed to retire, and he reached out the other day. And about 10 years ago, he lost a very good friend in the line of duty, and he has avoided that spot. And we've had routine conversations about one day going back there and me and him just hashing it out. And he reached out the other day and he said, hey, I'm fixing to retire, and sometime between now and now, we need to ease back there and we need to put it to rest. That's 10 years. It's a long time to let things soak and build, and it is what it is. But he's pretty much avoided that little spot in the world because he doesn't want to go back to that day. But now he's going to step up to the plate, and he's going to take a big swing. Do I look forward to it? Not exactly. I'm honored that he wants me to go with him. I was there that day. I was still on the job. He remembers things about that day that I don't remember. I don't. He remembers things that I said I don't remember saying. But his brain was in a different place and mine was in a different place, and I guess it was just kind of like walking up through this thick junk behind me. The briars grab onto your pants, and if somebody else was with me, maybe the briars don't grab onto their pants, just the way you go through the briars. So, avoidance. It does happen. And I think if you know you can go down the street, that's one thing. But if you just absolutely cannot, you might want to get that looked at. And I'm confident that my friend Brian, if he had to go down that street, wouldn't faze him at all. You just don't want to do it yet. And I get that. So that's going to be this portion of the video. Then I'm going to probably go down there. I don't have my rubber boots on, but we're going to go down there. We're going to show you this complex contingency planning of beavers, and that's why I respect them. We too often don't have too many contingency plans, and I talk about it. I've written about it. You know, you got people that are extreme contingency planners like myself, who are already 14 steps ahead if it looks like it's going south. And then you got people like, it ain't gonna happen. And you got people who are just like, hey, it ain't never gonna happen. My bride's kind of in the middle, and I'm on the other side. You know, if the car makes a noise, I'm already thinking, well, crap, we're gonna have to put a motor in it. That's where I go. But anyway, so once we get down there, I'll give you some good view. There's a really neat, I'm assuming it's a holly that grows here. Only place on the farm this holly grows, and it gives out this red berry. So that is one of the really neat parts about hunting here, is that you can look down, and you know the ground's pretty much brown and green, and then here's this bright red holly that just jumps out at you, you know, and it's kind of like, I don't know, God just throwing you additional color for the day. And but it is time for me to get down. I need to get my running gear on, put on my men's yoga pants. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there in TV land can make a pant that a guy could wear out in the woods. A guy like me, and they don't look like he's wearing men's yoga pants. That'd be pretty cool. I'd buy them, especially if there was camouflage. Hang on. So here's that holly. I ain't no tree expert either, but I'm assuming it's some kind of a holly that's kicking out that red berry. Bow stands back up that way. And then, of course, this is the contingency plans for the beavers. You get to see some really cool stuff with some of these trees down here. You don't know if a vine wrapped around that tree just grew that way. Kind of goes all the way up through there like that. So that's the very top portion of the pond. And then when you get up here, I'll try to get over there. Now, if you was a real serious deer hunter, you wouldn't be out here jacking around like I am. I don't care. I'm not really deer hunting, to be honest. It's way down that way. There's the cabin. But up here is where it starts. Let me get right back to you. All right, so here you go. So this is one of their little contingency plan ponds. Then you've got that one up there, and it just literally keeps going all the way up through here. And they just build these elaborate dams that are just ingenious. The problem is as they expand and they start cutting into, you know, timber, which is all about growing trees for lumber. And then they also cut off the water supply to the other animals downstream. So I found me a dry piece right here between this elaborate contingency plans that the beavers have built. And they do, seriously. It's like a National Geographic scene or something. And you got this tree right here. Check out this tree with all of the woodpeckers in it. Woodpeckers been nailing that. And I ain't gonna lie, it's beautiful and pretty. But sometimes you gotta think outside this little world right here and look at the big picture. And I know downstream what's needed. And the good Lord put all these springs into this little area to feed all that down there. And the beavers are like, no, man, it's all ours and you all are out of luck. So then I do think the good Lord gives people like me to have conversations with beavers to kind of balance things out a little bit. And maybe that's my job here, is just to balance this out a little bit. So who am I today? I'm a guy that has reflected heavy today on exactly what I'm going to say to my friend Brian whenever that day comes between then and then. And I honestly don't have a clue. And I don't think it matters, really. I think training in this field helps. I think having some knowledge, understanding the brain, I think is really important. But truly, at the end of the day, don't try to make somebody feel better, because when their ass gets handed to them, you won't. Just speak from the heart. That's it. None of it's going to be perfect. And it's like when these people write their wedding vows and it's all perfect, it sounds beautiful, and then you hear a fellow or some lady get up there, and you can tell they're all jacked up on gummy bears and nervous and tongue-tied, and it's just the most beautiful thing you've ever heard. So I think a lot of times when you're out there in TV land and you run up on somebody and you're trying to figure out what to say, well, number one, don't try to make them feel better. Two, speak from the heart. Don't matter. It's coming from a good place. You ain't gonna fix it. You just ain't. That ain't what it's about, fixing it. So that's who I am today. Thinking about my friend Brian. And when I reflect back over the years of the opportunities and the honor to take numerous people back to where it happened, and it generally isn't a good thing, that's kind of what I came up with. I remember sitting on a plane or driving in a car or walking and stepping over debris and going, man, what am I going to say? And then I got tongue-tied, twisted, and then I just spoke from the heart. So I'm going to try to find a route that'll get my feet wet where I can head back that way. And instead of going around that way, which is the way I came, and enjoy this beautiful day, even though it's freezing ass cold. And hope you all enjoyed the scenery. That might be something beavers are good for, is providing that kind of scenery, because honestly, they're aggravating. And don't get me started on them. All right, y'all have a great day, and appreciate the support, feedback. And if you're avoiding things to dodge a bullet, I don't think that's a bad thing. You just don't ever want to get to where you avoid something and it causes you a lot of dysfunction. That's just not good. But we all have things that we know it's there, and we just kind of go around it. And maybe one day we got to face it, maybe one day we don't. And that's what I got. Well, I think I figured it out. The main reason I avoid hunting up here is because I don't have enough discipline and self-control to not avoid this area. Give the beavers something to do tonight and later on. Nothing like running water. Yeah, my hands are really cold now. I did get my feet just a little wet, so we fixing to put a wiggle in it. But yeah, we definitely letting it rip now. So there you go. If you ever had a kid that couldn't avoid getting into a mud puddle, yeah, I'm that kid. I'm just still doing it 57 years old. Y'all take care.